Okay, we will move to number 4, the announcement of public workshop to discuss proposed, next year electrical transmission line scheduled for Tuesday, May 14th. We've got a meeting that's coming, the next Tuesday, is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
I got a raise there.
No, you took a pay cut. You took a big pay cut.
You got a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we had been asked, the public has been asking about the transmission line, and I know we've talked a little bit about it here at the commission meetings at the end. And so we have placed some information out there on our website about it. But the public's asking for additional information, so we've reached out to NextEra to come and give a presentation, a public presentation. And so we're gonna hold that at the courthouse on the 14th, which will be next Tuesday evening. So the public can come and talk to NextEra. NextEra is supposed to bring some maps, more detailed maps than what we've been supplied on the website. So we can open it up for the public to be able to learn more, and so they can kind of comment back to NextEra about if they feel there's alternate routes, if they want to propose that to NextEra.
The proposed route is down I-10, is that right?
It's adjacent to I-10.
Right.
It's not on DOT's property, but it would be on private property, but it would be running adjacent to I-10.
And that seems to be some of the questions about being on private property.
Yes, sir. Yeah, people want to know more questions about where it's going and how much property they're gonna need and so forth.
Okay.
So we thought we would hold a public meeting to be able to discuss that.
All right. Well,
Mr. Chairman, setting that up.
Yeah, there was a interesting article in the Tallahassee Democrat this morning where, Mr. Ryan, I believe is his name, he's the guy that I've been with concerning the, power line coming through Madison County. And I think this public hearing would be the right thing to do, so citizens will know what's going on.
Yeah, it'd be a workshop, and the
Yeah,
decisions will be made
sure.
by the board at the workshop. It's just an open for public.
All right.
Timothy Bryant, the fellow who's been coming to the Tallahassee and Leon County, commission meetings is who will be coming here.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I encourage all of you to attend that meeting. What I think would be very informative for all of us. All right, we'll move on down to number 5 now. Discussion and possible approval of restricted covenants to the easement agreement with the Department of Environmental Protection for the closing of landfill. Mr. Attorney, you want to take over there?
If you'll, in the packet, there is, this document is a declaration of restricted covenant. And then before it is an access easement. Now, the restrictive covenant, this all concerns landfill, that's the Superfund site, the old county landfill, not the new Osceola landfill south of Greenville. That has nothing to do with it. This is the old county landfill over near the road farm. If you'll recall, there for years and years, they discovered it in the 80s. There was a contamination at the landfill. So back before any of us had anything to do with it, they discovered contamination out there. That made it a Superfund site. Superfund is a federal program for certain levels of contamination. We've been working on that. The county and the city and DEP, and ITT, and EPA have been working on the site since then. The part of that remediation is that we have to record in the public records a restricted covenant. And the restricted covenant basically says you can't do anything out there on the site without DEP and EPA's approval. So you can't, and I know y'all know this, but the way the landfill is set up, one of the problems that was causing contamination is that when rainwater comes, it percolates through the soil, and that leaches out some of the contaminants and they get to the groundwater. So what we did to fix that was we put a clay cap over the top so the rainwater doesn't get on the top, soak through, and get all the pollutants out. So you put a clay cap, you put topsoil on the top of that, and you plant grass. Well, for instance, you gotta keep trees out there. If you put a tree on the top, the taproot goes way down, bust that cap, and then you've got the problem. You can't dig out there. You can't put up buildings out there. can't do all these different things out there because you gotta protect that clay cap and it keeps the rainwater from going through, those types of things. So one of the ways you ensure that is you do a restrictive covenant that says to the effect you just simply can't do anything out there anymore without DEP or EPA's approval. And that's the point of the restrictive covenant. The point of the access easement is the access easement gives DEP the right to travel across our property to get to the old landfill where they have the restrictive covenant. If you don't have access to the property, you can't go look and see if there's if the restrictive covenant's being complied with. This is normal, this is the way you normally do this with a contaminated property. Now, this is a property right, this survives, even if we were to sell the property, whatever, this survives, it's recorded in the deed books and all that. It's in proper form, and it's one of those things that has the advantage of you really don't have much choice in the matter, so it's one of the things we have to do.
All right, do I hear a motion to,
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve this declaration of restricted covenants for the old Madison County landfills.
all right, I have a motion and a second to approve the easement for DEP to come into the old
Motion
landfill.
to approve the restricted covenants.
Restricted covenants, excuse me.
I would want to approve both of them at once, I just, it's just for the.
Well, and the way they've set up the restricted covenant is they have exhibit, D is the access easement. So it would probably be best just to go ahead and approve everything at once, the access easement, restricted covenants, and everything, that'd be the pleasure.
Okay, that'll be mine.
That's okay, so we're doing both, that's what I thought we were doing originally, okay? Okay, so I have a motion and a second, to approve the, covenants to let them on, all those in favor, say aye.
County manager.
Mr. Chair, if I could just interject, Mr. Reeves did a great job of covering the aspects of it, but we did bring up the map while he was speaking, and this is on what's called the old yard trash area, which is on the southeastern corner of the landfill site. So the restricted covenants is being placed on that area, the little white dashed lines that you see going around. The red lines are just indicating drainage swales on the property, and the blue is the retention area out there. But that's the area that Mr. Reeves was talking about that was capped with the clay. So the access easement would actually be coming from the left to the right along the north side of that little building, to the corner of that property. So that tells you, that kind of gives you an idea of it's going out to the county road and coming into the property. But just wanted to kind of give you, it's not the whole landfill, it's just that portion of what's called the yard trash area, the old yard trash area.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just interject something here, comparing the old landfill with the new landfill and sort of help educate the public a little bit. The new landfill, the Arcilla landfill, has a liner in the bottom of it, and all that leachate, the water that percolates down, it goes into a lagoon and is treated before it goes to the spray field. So, looking at the old one, it's just a hole in the ground, nothing to catch the water. But the new one, and due to the technology that has, come about since we've started the new process, it's a lot better.
It's not today,
Yes.
Yeah, nice day. Well, this landfill was, when was this first dug?
Well, the city owned this landfill, and
Right.
somewhere down the line, they talked to county commissioners at that time into taking over it. So I don't know what year all that took place.
The purchase was in, and I'm going from memory, but it was in the early '80s. What had happened was, the state was requiring counties to take over the landfill, responsibilities for each county, so the county had to take that over. Well, the idea was, well, heck, the city's got a good landfill, let's just buy that. And so here we are.
And that's how we wound up on the super
That's how we
fund.
wound up in
And
the super fund.
meanwhile, ITT was helping all the time. Okay,
There's a motion, seconds.
we have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Same sign. Likewise, motion carries 5-0. All right. We got a lot of paperwork. All right, six now, discussion regarding appointment of the Commissioner of the Big Bend Continuum of Care. Mr. Coffin, did you want to speak to that, or did the chair just want to appoint somebody?
Yes, sir, we received this letter from the Big Bend Continuum of Care, and as you see in the letter, this is the group that kind of works with several counties on our homeless issues, 8 counties, and they requested that a commissioner or one of staff be appointed to represent Madison County at their meetings.
All right. Assuming I'm not gonna probably get a volunteer. No, I'm not volunteering. You understand that? I have no. I'm going to, use my executive privilege and, appoint my vice chair, Mr. Moore, if he will accept.
I thought Mr.
Mr. Walter,
I will.
Mr. Walter,
I will.
you will accept. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll be his alternate if he can't make it, I'll be his alternate.
That's very good, that's very good, thank you, Commissioner Walter, I appreciate your willingness to serve.
You have a choice.
You are the vice chair, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He is now.
I'll be his alternate if he can.
Well. All right, that taken care of. All right, where are we? We've got, the discussion regarding the May 20th, celebration of the Rec Association.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think we have some guests that
We
would
do.
like to speak to that.
Right, Madison County Recreation, is that Ray Mobley? Would you like to come up and speak, Mr. Mobley?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Dr. Ray Mobley, he's president, but I'll let you introduce yourself.
Good morning, thank you.
Good morning. Morning.
Mr. Chair, thank you for allowing us to come this morning.
Perfect.
As was stated, I am Dr. Ray Mobley, and I'm currently serving as the president of the Madison County Recreation Association. And I'm here with other members of the board, James Hart, Tamara Johnson, Joseph Richardson. We also like to mention that Mr. Alfred Martin has also served on our board. He's also been graced with members from the community as Mr. Sam McGee, David Delauder, Mr. Loris Jones, and other members. We're a nonprofit organization, and we are here to express our appreciation for the support and to solicit your support in our endeavors. Our mission is to develop and implement high-quality community services to support, sustain, and strengthen family functioning in Madison County. We have a long history of providing services to the community. The Rec Center and the old school serves as testaments to the very spirit and commitment to our community. We are engaged in a major effort to revitalize both the Rec Center and the old school, and we would like your help. I would like to also take this opportunity to extend a cordial and warm invitation to our 20th of May observance and celebration. This is a time-honored tradition when we invite our community to again come together to celebrate the freedom and enjoy our rich culture and legacy. This year's event starts on May 11th and culminates on Sunday, May the 19th. We have a flyer that we can provide with all of the activities that we are going to be hosting. And we want to thank you for, again, just allowing us to come before you, and we want to cordially, again, invite you to participate, attend our events. we would like to, note that, we are requesting, any support that you can provide, revitalization of that property that we're currently engaged with, so, we will entertain any questions that you might have at this time.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
they asked if we could, pick up some limbs out there. I got with Clay Blair and we looked at it, and it, looks like about a half a day's worth of work, for the knuckle boom truck to be able to pick up those limbs and dispose of them. And so I needed to come to y'all because it is on private property, and so I wanted to get permission from y'all before we move forward with that. So that's specifically, you know, one of the specific items that they had asked if we could help with.
Right.
I know in the past, we have help, back then we had inmate help, I don't guess we got much inmate help now, but if Clay could handle it, you know.
We probably will, we'll try to catch a day where we got a couple inmates that can help pick up the smaller pieces by hand, but the truck will do most of the work, and then we can use the inmates to pick up a little bit that's left.
Limbs are pretty big. It's gonna take the truck to,
We
it
can-
takes the truck to pick them up.
And we can move a lot faster, they are bigger limbs, and but we can move fast with the truck.
Sure, sure.
I understand it's not.
private property.
Well, the Recreation Association is a nonprofit, but it's still considered private property, it's not county property. So, yeah, governmental property, so before we go on to any property like that, we have to get permission from the board.
If I can,
Yes.
certainly when you have, a group like this that's doing something for the community,
Right.
y'all have the authority to support that, and you have the authority to spend public money to do that. Couple things though, if you've got Mr. Blair doing it, that's, solid waste, monies that they have, you can't spend special assessment monies for that. He would have to, keep track of his time, and y'all would have to, move general fund money over there to compensate for that time. The other thing is, you wanna be, always wanna be careful of, because you got, folks that come in and bring you really good ideas and good things, is if you don't wanna get in a position of, just having people come and ask, and then before you know it, you've overcommitted yourself. It really would be better if you had a policy and a procedure, and hey, this is how you apply for these types of grants and a budget amount. That sort of thing would be a much better way to do it, but you certainly have just to make sure everybody understands, when you have a not-for-profit that's doing a community type of event like this, y'all certainly have the ability to support it.
Okay. Other comments from the commissioners?
I don't have a comment, but I'll move that we allow the, solid waste department to assist in, helping with the, preparations.
I second
All right, I have a motion, and a second discussion. I'll say I agree with this, in what the county attorney has pointed out, that this is something that's going to benefit the entire community. And I think, this is an order. I think we probably do need to look at developing some kind of policy, for in the future to account for what Mr. Reeves has mentioned, that we don't want everybody in the county coming in for every little thing. But if it's something like this that is, and we've done this in the past for this group, because it is a pretty large community event, and I think that's certainly an order. I have a motion.
Mr. Chair, if I can add something else in the same vein, I think it'd be prudent if we went ahead and come up with some type of policy for the future. Just keep us out of trouble.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that's what I was saying earlier. I think we'll go ahead and, take a vote on this motion, and, then if we wanna, take any further action toward developing a policy, or direct our staff to come up with something that we can take a look at and vote on, I think would be probably in order. So I'll say I'll entertain, vote, all those in favor of Commissioner Moore's motion?
it. Aye.
Aye. All right, same sign, opposed, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. We will, Mr. Blair's department will get out there and we'll clean that area up for you before for the celebration.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And, Mr. Attorney, did we just direct staff to come up with, or come up with?
Usually when you're trying to come up with a policy like this, the best thing to do is to start looking for other counties and other cities and see if they've already done the work for you and have this type of a policy. That would be step one, and then bring it back to the board and look at it.
So direct the staff to try to take a look at that, please. All right, moving down to number 8, resolution, 2019-05-08, Florida class resolution. Turn this over to the clerk of the court, Mr. Washington.
All right, Mr. Chair, included in your packet was a resolution, but also included was a Florida class interlocal agreement. Just to give you a little background about Florida class. They are a statutorily authorized investment pool for public dollars, sort of like SBA, that where a majority of our county's money is invested currently, or the Florida Trust, which is another one. Florida class, the reason I was trying to go with this, there just gives us another option of places to move money in case something happens with SBA or the other one, and what it requires is a resolution or there was a way that I could do it unilaterally through the clerk's power, but I thought it would be better to do it as a resolution, that way you guys can see what it is. I don't wanna do something with the county's money without, you guys knowing what we're doing. All this resolution does allows us to join the Florida class, and then we would move a couple funds worth of money, about $70,000 to the class to be invested. The return on the investment right now is 2.6, which is the same return that we're currently getting on SBA, so it's not advantageous or disadvantageous to hear there. Let you guys know. And that'd be my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do I have a motion to?
I make the motion.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution to, have to direct the clerk to use the Florida class interlocal agreement. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
We have a little discussion.
Sure. Sir,
I
I'm
know
sorry.
in the past, we've used I think Florida Trust through FAC is.
We still have some there with Florida Trust, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So this is sort of diversifying the portfolio.
Exactly, it just gives us one more place. I'm actually just, this past week, got appointed to the board of the Florida Trust, so I mean, it is,
Okay.
you know, and we do have some money there.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Sheriff.
If I may, what kind of gave birth to this is statutorily, these accounts that we're separating from the SBA's, is actually forfeiture accounts, which is required by statute for the proceeds thereof to include interest earned, gets deposited back into those accounts. And so, the clerk and I had discussed this issue. We thought about, we could have kept it with SBA, but it might be easier if it's completely separate with Florida class. We as well were involved with Florida class as well. We thought it's the best idea to be in compliance with statute for those dollars that are in our forfeiture accounts. It's not ad valorem, it's taxpayers' money or nothing of the sort, strictly forfeiture accounts, which is strictly mandated by statute.
And this would be prime, the forfeiture accounts, of course, to make it understand, but mostly the sheriff's department.
It's Fund 70, 71, 72, and 73, I believe, which is all money that is to be used at the sheriff's discretion.
Right.
That's it. And so I'm just moving that over there to keep it separate, and that way it just looks cleaner, looks neater.
Best practice.
Best practice. Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
That clears it up.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, we'll return. I have a motion and a second, to adopt Florida class.
Wherever the motion is.
You have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. I'll just clear it back up. All right. All right, well, look like we have gone down to the new business. Mr. Thigpen, you got your voice back?
Karen?
All right, I think Public Works will be next in order. All right, number one, Public Works will be review of the possible approval for resurfacing of, northeast cattail.
Morning.
Morning, Lee.
I apologize for my voice, and I'll do the best I can to make it where you can understand what I'm saying.
We feel your pain.
I feel fine, I just can't talk. You should have in your packet a spreadsheet for the bid received. We did put out bids for resurfacing Cattail Drive from Highway 6 up to Cornsill. If you remember, we did from that intersection out to 255 2-3 years ago. We received 4 bids, one from Anderson, or one from Scruggs Company, one from PV and Sons, one from Anderson and Columbia, and one from Capital Asphalt. If you look down at the bottom of your spreadsheet, you'll see the totals. The Scruggs Company was the cheapest bid. We went through everything looks to be in order. Their bid is $499,440, and this is a state reimbursed project through the SCOP program.
It is a reimbursed project through
Yes, sir.
Bruce Cross.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go with the, Mr. Tipping's recommendation,
Second.
All right.
Which is the low bid.
which is
A low bid,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it is a low bid.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the low bid on the.
Just comment,
Yeah.
I noticed they were significantly lower than, our estimate, but everything was pretty much
Yes, sir.
in order.
You've got some items in there, if you'll see at the top, with particularly the mobilization and maintenance of traffic. There can be huge differences with your bids. We use the best guess we can on those. Some of the asphalt and stuff, we can get a little bit better grasp of what to expect based on what we've done in the past. But some of those items vary from one company to another.
But they were gonna do the
We
work
do.
based on the specs put out. And
Yes.
that, for that price.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Wow.
That's all that was.
Okay.
We have to turn in an estimate to DOT when we apply for the funds.
Just my clarification, now which, where are we gonna go and where the beginning and end on?
It'll start at Highway 6
Okay.
and it'll continue around to Cornsill. And the joint there, that's where
So
we.
so you are doing the entire thing from State Road 6
To Cornsill.
through Cornsill?
We paved that section from Cornsill to 255 2-3 years ago.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Just want to clarify that.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and, all those in favor? All opposed, same sign, 5-0. All right, Mr. Thigpen, I think you got number 2 also.
Yes, sir. We did send out for, closed bids for a brush cutter tractor. We currently have 3 tractors on hand. We have 2 Challenger tractors and the Max tractor we bought a little over a year ago. One of the Challenger tractors has a bit of an issue where the boom mounts to the tractor. There are some holes that are threaded that the frame mounts to, and those are broken out. We've checked into it. It's gonna cost between $12,000 and $13,000 to take that part of that transmission out, have it fixed and put it back together because of the boom and separating the cab tractor and so forth. That tractor's about 9 years old. I prefer not to put that kind of money into that tractor. The transmission's fine, we can still use it for a batwing mower or a rototiller or whatever else. It's just the part that the boom bolts to, part of those bolt holes are broken out. We also have another Challenger tractor, they'll be 5 years old in July. We'll make that last payment in July of this year. And what we would like to do is roll those funds over into next year, and that's what I got the bids for this tractor. Hopefully we can take those funds that we're paying for the tractor currently and roll those into next year and start making payments on another tractor. We did set up the bids with this to be paid, the payment will be paid at the end of the year, based on the delivery date instead of upfront like we normally do. That way it'll be in the next fiscal year, just to explain where we're getting the funds from. We did receive, 4 bids, one from Beard Equipment for a John Deere tractor and Alamo mower, one from Ring Power for a Challenger tractor and a Diamond mower, one from Max Equipment Company, which has the Mower Max tractor and the Mower Max mower. They build a complete unit in their organization. And Diamond Mowers also quoted a price for a Massey Ferguson tractor with a Diamond mower. I did have them to give me quotes for a 60-inch and a 50-inch head. Sometimes we'll go with a 50-inch head that's a little bit lighter on the boom, that far away from the tractor. But I found out there's really only about 100 to 150 pounds difference in the mower itself. The lowest bid, if you consider it a 5-year payment, at the end of the year would be John Deere with the Alamo mower for $29,665.65 for the mower that has a 60-inch head. They have that tractor available now. We can probably get it this week, within a day or two. That was the lowest bid if we go with a 5-year lease where we would own the tractor at the end. Diamond and Caterpillar give us an option of a buyback similar to what we do with the graders. If we subtract that, naturally the payment would be cheaper, but we would have to pay that amount of money at the end of the term in order to keep the tractor. We normally keep those tractors more than 5 years. It would be my recommendation to get the John Deere tractor with the Alamo mower for $29,665.65.
Yeah. Good, no discussion, and I make a motion to accept Mr. Dickman's recommendation with Beard Equipment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept Beard Equipment.
And that would be the low bid based on the criteria that you laid out.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Lonnie, so how many tractors that's gonna give total?
They'll give us 3 brush cutters again. Right now, we're running 2. If we can get this machine, I'll put 3 back in our fleet.
Is this gonna be very similar to the new one we just got recently?
Actually, this one will be a farm tractor. We've had a little bit of an issue with the new mower. I'm not sold on it 100% right now. And this tractor is considerably cheaper. We have demoed this tractor. That is probably the same one we demoed, the one we'll be getting. And all our operators ran it for a couple, 3 hours. They left it with me for a day or 2. And they seem to be happy with the tractor and all the operations and everything, so. Due to the difference in the cost, I think we'd be better off to go back to the farm type tractor.
All right, thank you.
I think Lonnie, when we did that other tractor too, both of those tractors were very similar in price, the Mower
Yes.
Max. And so there's a couple things that are taking place here. One, Mower Max went up on their tractor $10,000.
From what the last one was.
Yeah, the other side of the coin is Beard Equipment came down on their price almost $17,000. But they were running around 152 on the last tractor. This tractor's 133. And the reason why is because they have this tractor on hand. It's already, they're not having to order the tractor, so that they wanna move the tractor. So we're actually getting a better deal this time around than the last bids that we had. So that's another reason why we decided to go with the farm tractor versus the Mower Max.
Mr.
Chair, what about the Mower Max? Do any other counties use that, or are they widely used?
I know the city of Tallahassee has 1 or 2, and I've talked to them a couple times. But I'm not sure about any of the surrounding counties. They sell them all over the nation, but I'm not sure exactly where they have them placed, other than the city of Tallahassee.
Another thing, Mr. Chair, if you go with a farm tractor, if you have an issue with the bolts breaking
Right.
off or whatever, you still have a viable, usable tractor that you can use with a bat wing mower or whatever.
That's correct.
Whereas a Mower Max is strictly for one use,
One thing.
so it's kind of a dual purpose.
But this would give us 3 operating tractors for right of ways and all this kind of stuff. 'Cause and I'll say that, some of the issues that I have and calls I've received in the past is that upkeep of the right of ways. And
Yes.
if this will help us be more efficient, then I'm good with that.
Yeah, and that's why I asked him how many that's gonna give us, 'cause I get several calls about
Yeah.
stuff rolled over the road.
Yes.
I get
Some of
calls.
them might be on one end of the county and it's on the other
Exactly.
end, you know, so.
Yeah. I was just asking, the reason I asked about that was, that I guess it was the new one with the Motomax, if we cut, Pickle Lane on that kudzu, it was so bad there, from Boat Green's driveway down to the 90, and it really did he did a fantastic job on that.
I don't think there'd be any difference in the capabilities of one tractor over the other.
All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor, all those in favor? Same sign, likewise, motion passed 5-0. All right, well, Mr. Kaufman, I guess you wanna go back to, on number 3 regarding the closure of Lane, you wanna take over there?
Yes, sir. Per y'all's request at the last meeting, we've produced some maps for you. You can see that in the projector up here. Ona Lane is a little spur road that cuts over from 221, US 221, so we're down near Sermons. This is real close to the Sermons Fire Station, just north of the Sermons Fire Station. Mosley Hall Road comes in from the upper part of the screen into 221 there. No, actually, yeah. And the railroad is running right along the left-hand corner of the screen, down near the bottom, that's the railroad, and Akalu, Road. So, it's a little paved, road, and some of the things that I can point out on this map, we also, as we studied it, there is a platted road that has never been opened. And so we thought we might try to take care of that at the same time. So if you look, the green parcel down at the very bottom, Miss Andrews, Velma Andrews owns that, and she also owns the hatched kind of orange color above that. So she owns both of those parcels. And so that platted road that was never opened is running between those two parcels. So if you vacated that road, that basically would go to her and close off and basically close that gap. It's pretty swampy in there, and I really don't see where we would really have a need to open that road one day. Moving on up, the blue hatched area, that's owned by Terrell and others, and it's also owned across Ona Avenue by Terrell and others. So if you close that portion of the road right there, that would just basically tie those two parcels together. And then moving to the left, as you vacated I guess the southwestern corner of that road, then it would be split between the person with the little red piece, Collins, and the other little half of the road would go back to